Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here two articles discussing the same issue, which is the imminent offensive of the Russian forces sometime before February 24th. They claim there would be a massive invasion, like the one a year ago, um, just to, I guess, celebrate the 1 year anniversary, according to some people who think that the Russians are so how should I put it, emotional in celebrating these kind of things. But hey, you never know. Even if that happens, just because it happens, it's just because it's beneficial to whatever strategy they have. These guys will link it that way because that's the way they do it. I don't know if something happened outside, they link it to whatever the narrative is in general, without any connection. But let's go and see what these weasels are saying here. So I have this one from the Newsweek, and I have the other one from Republic World. They basically say the same thing, maybe a little bit of nuance here and there. So this is from right here, as I said, Newsweek. Russian offensive imminent as 200,000 more troops headed to Ukraine. Institute of Study of War. And according to that think tank, Russia is preparing for an, and I'm quoting, imminent new offensive on Ukraine, while 200,000 more Russian troops may soon be joining the war effort, according to the Institute for the Study of War. I don't like these little terms as maybe, could be, allegedly. You either know it or you don't know it. If you don't know it, then shut up. If you know it, then write an article. But hey, this is what they say, and they sell their stuff. I'm pretty sure there's as fire somewhere because there is smoke. But these guys are just trying to anticipate certain things. You either know or you don't. It's just the same with intelligence services and some reports. They maybe could possibly. I mean, I can speak like this all day, and I'd be like Nostradamus and tell you about this and that in Catrans, and you're gonna figure it out after it occurs. I can say, well, the Russians will have an offensive sometime. Definitely they will, but when is that sometime? An Institute of Study of War report published on Monday says that Ukrainian, Western, and Russian sources agree that, and I'm quoting, Russia is preparing for an imminent offensive. Okay, very general. As it's 50%. Is preparing or not preparing. So you have 50% chance to hit it. And you can call an offensive whenever you want. As the war nears its 1 year mark, the report notes that NATO Secretary Jens Stoltenberg said on the same day that Russian President Vladimir Putin, who, and I'm quoting, retains his maximalist goals in Ukraine, was planning to mobilize 200,000 or more new troops to join the fight. So he's going to mobilize more than they already mobilized. So according to the reports, the Russians already conducted that partial mobilization of 300,000 troops. They said that they actually mobilized 315,000 troops. But anyway, so that means they're going to plan to mobilize more. They've been saying this since December, and we've been a month and a half in, and nothing happened. I'm not saying it wouldn't, but if you know or you don't know. Meanwhile, Ukrainian military official Ivan Timochko reportedly said that Russian forces were strengthening in Ukraine's Donbas region in anticipation of the offensive, which Russia was launching, and I'm quoting, due to increasing domestic pressure for victory in the war. All right, if you want to do it differently, but anyway, let's see where this Donbas is. I have two maps, and this is the one where I say that Donbas is somewhere in between Luhansk and Donetsk republics here. That is a big one, and it's a line of conflict. That's an old thing. But here you have another map that puts both of them right here, Luhansk and Donetsk, together. This is Donbas area. Now here, this is the Dnieper River, and if you know here, Kherson right here, Oblast is in Russians' hands. Zaporozhia here is in the Russians' hands, and Kharkiv, no, it's not anymore. It used to be. Luhansk and Donetsk are. They're fighting actually in Donetsk, not entirely here, but in Donetsk here, there is, how do you call it? Right where my mouse is, right here is Bakhmut, between D and D, Bakhmut, and then you got Liman, and you got Soledar, well, a bit northeast, and this is where the main battles occur right now. And they say, right, that that's gonna be in the Donbas region. And now, if there would be domestic pressure to victory, they can escalate it and make it if they want, using different kind of weapons. So why should they just have 200 more thousand people? They would do like a Harry Truman thing, saving our boys' lives and get over with. Remember, that's what it was with Truman. This was the whole, not the whole, but part of the argument in the Second World War, made by President then Harry Truman, to making, when he made the decision, or at least he was informed, because supposedly Harry Truman did not have knowledge of any atomic bombs or anything like that. Supposedly it was so secret. And when he became president, when Delano Franklin Roosevelt died, and he agreed to, yeah, let's hit those military installations in Hiroshima and Nagasaki. That's how BBC reported it then. Yeah, the recordings are still available. Yeah, the Americans dropped an atomic bomb over military installations in Hiroshima on the 6th of August 1945. So anyway, they claim that we have to stop the war, so we have to save lives, our lives, by blowing up 2 cities with a total population and victims eventually, I don't know, more than 200,000 people, with all the aftermath of all that military installation right on top of the dome of in Hiroshima. But anyway, so I guess I don't know why he would been allowed to do that and not be called for that act, the term that fits the action, the behavior. But these guys, I'm not, trying to say that the Russians should do that. It's just how the double standard is. I mean, go and tell, hey, Harry Truman is, let's say, this and that, war criminal or something. You're not going to find that. And the argument would be, well, we had to do it to, to stop the war, to prevent more deaths, and especially to intimidate the Soviets and stop them from taking over from the northern territories, the Kuril Islands. So it was a bigger, including that the Japanese supposedly has some envoys going to Moscow to surrender to the Russians, to the Soviets, not to the Americans. That would have been a no-no. So anyway, if it's about what this guy says right here in the end, due to increasing domestic pressure for victory in the war, that's why they sent 200,000 more people. They're planning to mobilize. Then I don't think that's a valid argument. Now, Stoltenberg and Timochko statements support Institute of Study of War's previous forecast that Russian forces are setting condition to launch an offensive effort, likely in Luhansk Oblast, in the coming months. Luhansk Oblast, right here, right? Luhansk Oblast, this area. Institute of Study of War said, while adding that Russian military bloggers had indicated, and I'm quoting, that the Russian information space is setting conditions for and anticipating a Russian offensive. Well, it's like people anticipate the second coming of Jesus Christ. They say it's coming, but no one knows. But they keep talking about coming and coming and coming. So it's going to happen, but no one knows. I mean, there are some people who probably know because they are organizing it or planning it, but they are in Moscow, and who else where in Russia. And this article comes from the Republic world.com, this is an Indian media outlet. Russia consolidating troops for imminent offensive in Donbas, says that the study of war as war rages on. So the ISW, a Washington-based think tank, said in an update on Monday, citing Russian, Ukrainian, and Western sources that Russia is planning an offensive. I could have told you this 3 months ago before all these guys, because Russians are not going to just stay and sit and not do. They will have to do that. Now, this think tank that I used to trust at the beginning of the war for about 2 months, I started understanding it's not just it's not an institute of study of war. It's a certain kind of institute, and I realized how they looked, and they discussed, based on no evidence, if you remember, the bombardment of those barracks of Azov prisoners in Olenivka or something like this, Olenivka, I think that's how it was, remember that one? And they just, the Institute of Study of War just made some claims based again on possible but then they started like that, and at the end the report said it was clearly a Russian attack on those. Okay, all right. And then the Ukrainians said, well, they had intelligence that it was the Wagner group, and then the other source, the Ukrainian source, says actually it was the Russian military who planned that. Now, which one is it? You can say they were both, but no, they were excluding one another. It was like a comedy of reporting. And an Institute of Study of War concluded without any investigation, conducted, that it was them. Why? Based on these two reports statements coming from the Ukrainian side. So from then on, for me, Institute of Study of War went down, and I started looking much more skeptical at whatever they said. And it's used each and every time by the Western side to cite it when obviously they come with this kind of preparing an imminent. Yeah, I can give you this kind of headlines every 5 seconds, but everything evasive and everything that I can cover my butt when it did not happen in whenever you want it to happen. I can tell you whatever. I said with the second coming of Jesus Christ. He's coming, yeah, he's coming. Yeah, get ready, he's coming. He's an imminent coming. Jesus Christ is coming. When it's coming, it's the signs are here. You see, I don't feel very well. I think it's because of that. Oh, it's snowing this winter more than last winter. That's a sign. How in the fuck you know that? Anyway, thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.